Hey, Dr. John Finn here. Welcome to the Habit Mechanic podcast. Right now, you can get my new best-selling book, Train Your Brain for the AI Revolution, at tougherminds.co.uk. The digital book, audiobook, and physical book are all available at a special price that you won't find anywhere else.
Welcome to the final episode of our four-part series looking ahead to the Tougher Minds Improve Exam Success event. The event takes place on Thursday, the 21st of April at the UCL Institute of Education in central London. We've been talking to Tougher Minds founder and managing director Dr. John Finn and Tougher Minds head of education Andrew Foster. And Andrew and John have been discussing why exams can be so problematic for so many people and what can be done to improve the situation. And that's also the theme, of course, of the Improve Exam Success event. In this final podcast, we're going to be discussing a newspaper article which featured Tougher Minds last year. The article was written about revision and how techniques can be used to help young people improve their learning and their approach to managing the pressure of the exam period and their performance in the exam itself. And we started off by talking to Dr. John Finn, and we asked him what was behind the piece appearing in the newspaper.
The Sunday Telegraph originally got interested in Tougher Minds around the sort of 2012 Olympic Games because the haberdashers of the City of London, particularly a chap called Colin Moynihan, who was involved in sport in a political and professional sense, felt that sports psychology had a lot to offer young people in their development, and he kind of wondered why we didn't teach young people sports psychology skills that he'd seen, that he'd learned through his kind of professional sporting effort or his Olympic sporting effort. And he thought it'd be a good idea to try and teach young people the sports psychology skills. So the haberdashers set up a programme at one of their schools to try and teach young people how to use better thinking skills to help them in their lives. They saw that my PhD work was very relevant in this area, and they asked me to set up that programme. And the Telegraph sent a chap along called Simon Briggs, who was a sports correspondent, specifically a tennis correspondent, and he came to kind of cover the story with the sports angle. But Simon's a father of two young girls, and he got very, very interested in what we were doing. And I think he tried some of the strategies out with his children, and he was sort of amazed at the impact they were having. He'd, wants the best for his children. He'd always tried, but I think he was just taken aback by how these simple ideas could be so impactful. And then actually Simon and the Telegraph noticed that we were spreading our programme into London, and particular we were using it to try and help young people with their academic performance, but also teaching them resilient skills for life. And Simon came along to our Developing Resilient Minds in Education conference, and again I think he was so taken aback by the testimonies, the stories from the parents and the pupils and the teachers about the impact these ideas were having on health, happiness and performance, that he decided to write a piece about this. In fact, he wrote a couple of pieces, and one of the pieces he wrote was about revision, simple and practical revision strategies that you can do that are based on neuroscience understanding that has good evidence they improve academic performance.
Yeah, it's still online currently, as it would be. How the science of sport can boost exam revision, telegraph.co.uk, 27th of March 2015. So it was about this time last year, and plenty of information in that article, and interesting to understand how the pathway to that finally appearing, because there is very much a good overview of the Tougher Minds approach within that article, and also a good flavour of the detail that will be outlined on April the 21st. And Andrew, obviously the piece that appeared in the Telegraph does actually contain some multimedia, some video clips from students at Colf School. and you were head of academic performance at the time at Colfs, and obviously working closely with John. So you were very much aware of how that piece reflects the reality of the benefit delivered by Tougher Minds.
Oh, absolutely. The pupils who engaged fully in the programme were some of our top performers, some of our top improvers. They dominated those categories, and why wouldn't they? Because they're equipped with all that insight as to how to manage these months that they've got coming up. It's hard speaking to pupils who benefited from Tougher Minds. They say they can't really envisage how things would have gone without Tougher Minds, because it became absolutely integral to what they did on a daily, on an hourly basis. It informed how they set about planning out their time, how they incorporated exercise, how they made sure sleep and diet continued, and the nature of what they were actually doing once they were revising. And to an extent, the results spoke for themselves.
Yeah, and the pupils are actually very, very excellent advocates for the Tougher Minds programme. If you do get the chance to go onto the Tougher Minds website, tougherminds.co.uk, or that piece on the Telegraph website, you'll see plenty of video from the pupils on each site, and they certainly speak very eloquently and very confidently and with great authority about their contact with the programme. If we just have a look at what is quite a lengthy piece, is it's divided into 12 sections, covering different areas and giving different aspects of advice. The first one might interest some people, might surprise some people. It's called the Holy Trinity. It's not a reference to praying for divine guidance in the exam period. It's actually understanding how your daily routine and your sleep, your diet and your exercise can have a big bearing on your performance academically and in the exam, John.
Yes, more than ever we understand the role of the very basic concepts of sleep, diet and exercise. And I think not just the impact they have if we don't get them right in the short term, but the impact it has if we don't get them right in the long term as well. So, again, that's quite an obvious idea, but it's okay understanding that they're important. It's very different having a set of simple and practical skills you can use to enable you to get better sleep, diet and exercise. Big government-funded study up in, I think, up in the northeast, looking at, do teenagers need more sleep? Well, they didn't need to spend a couple of million quid on that. Yeah, they do. What they should have spent a couple of million quid on is helping teenagers to actually get more sleep. That's the challenge. So yeah, they're fundamental, and actually they're fundamental to reducing stress and boosting learning. As if you come on the 21st, you'll find out more about that. So we need to get them right.
Yeah, and away from perhaps slightly less obvious, perhaps not to some, depends, I suppose, on your background, but a couple of ideas where people might recognise them in the world of sports performance and sports psychology. The idea of functional equivalence and something you call the 20-20 rule. If you could just give us an overview of those, John.
Well, I think that the big challenge, and in fact we've just been tweaking our teacher lesson plan. We have a learning plan that coaches and teachers use to allow them to embed sort of neuroscience understanding into the way they teach. The big problem for a lot of the way that we are taught things or that we try to learn things is that they don't actually transfer into the thing that we want to achieve. So they're not fit for purpose. So I can learn a lot about geography, but none of that information might be useful to me in my geography GCSE exam. If I'm a rugby player, I can learn how to pass a ball really well, but that skill might not stand up under pressure in a game when I've got an 18-stone guy who's going to close down and tackle me hard. So we've really got to think about how we practice the skills that we want to achieve in an exam situation. Now, the 2020 is a slightly different idea. It's along the same lines, and it's about thinking about how you practice. We know that spaced learning is much more powerful in regards to retaining information than the traditional way that we practice learning. So we've got to use that understanding. We've got to put it into the way that we revise.
Yeah, and Andrew, on the 21st, you and John have worked together to show again the application of these in the real world, not just theoretical notions of that exist in textbooks, but practical applications of functional equivalence, as John's described it, and spaced learning or spacing out your work on different subject areas in layman's terms when it comes to exams.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no longer surprising when I talk to parents, children that I'm working with. They're often describing continued problems with how they set out their days, how they use their breaks is really interesting to me. So many people find themselves taking breaks by going and sitting down on the sofa. Science shows us that is not a good way to take a break if you want to resume working and working effectively, learning effectively afterwards. So it's brilliant seeing young people benefit from this level of guidance. It's something I wish I'd had when I was in school, and I feel fortunate though that I now am really benefiting as a teacher, an educator, a learner myself, from understanding more of how we can use our time more effectively. And
Andrew, if you had to give a message to anyone considering whether or not to attend the Improve Exam Success event on April the 21st at the UCL Institute of Education, what would you say to them?
Well, I'd say attend. I'd say Tougher Minds has worked with thousands of children, but also adults too. And time and time again, they're reporting benefits that they're just not accruing through any other means. As hard as teachers and parents might work to support young people, as much as businesses might work to support people doing their accountancy or their medical exams, this insight is unique to Tougher Minds as far as I've seen, and it's very rare that people come away from a Tougher Minds event anything less than delighted with what they've learned, what they're taking away.
And John, as the founder of Tougher Minds, perhaps the final word should go to you. We're coming to the end now of this 4-part podcast series. April the 21st, not too far away now. Your thoughts then, and your final message to anyone who's having a look at this date and seeing if they can fit it into their schedule.
I think that if you have an exam coming up in the summer, if you've got an exam coming up in the future, this is a session that will help you from very well-paid, high-performing professional workers, so all the way through to children, as young as 9. They clearly report the benefits of learning about these strategies and these techniques. And again, I think that if you can do this as a family, this is really powerful, because behaviour is driven by reinforcement. It's okay having the belief system. It's okay having the skills as well, but we need people to keep reminding us to do the things that we know are right. So if we get that right in the family unit, this information is very, very powerful. If you want to learn about how you can improve exam success, and even to an extent how you can get better at dealing with challenges in your life, this is a great way to spend an hour of your time, on a Thursday evening in central London.
That was Dr. John Finn, concluding the fourth part of our podcast series looking ahead to the Tougher Minds Improve Exam Success event, which takes place on Thursday the 21st of April at the UCL Institute of Education in central London. Tickets for the event are priced just £49. If you'd like to attend, please go to the Tougher Minds website, tougherminds.co.uk, and you can find more information about how to book your tickets and more information about the content of the sessions themselves, which are aimed at helping you improve exam success. There's also an offer for schools, a 10% discount, so check that out as well. All the details of that are available on the Tougher Minds website. As I say, tougherminds.co.uk. We hope you've enjoyed listening to these podcasts, and we hope to see as many of you as possible at the Improve Exam Success event on Thursday, the 21st of April at the Institute of Education.
Thanks for listening to the Habit Mechanic podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe and tell someone else about one of the ideas or insights that you found most interesting.